to share. The name of this practice is called In My World, and it basically is a tool to use to create a new matrix from which you want to be living from and how you want to be experiencing life. And I really found a beautiful magic in using this, even if I use it for a couple of minutes a day or a few moments. And sometimes when I'm feeling a little doubtful or kind of unsure of what I'm going to meet out in the world, like suddenly I'm going out and whatever, that I actually can spend a moment really being with myself and what kind of world I want to be creating. Also, when I'm in a situation where I feel like something's off and I don't feel aligned with things, this is where I can go inside and I can actually start to understand the kind of world that I want to be in and actually bring it to light. For me, this has been really powerful. So I'm going to give you a few examples and I'm going to show you some of the kind of cool things about this technique. The first thing to remember when doing this practice is remembering I-O. That can stand for inside out, I, and then outside, or I, other. But that kind of a bounce back and forth, the energy of that back and forth during this practice for me has really increased its effectiveness in me knowing how I get to show up in the world and what happens. The next thing to remember is that the deeper you really go and become aware of yourself, the deeper and the stronger this can really be. If you're sitting in your ego and you're just upset at the world, right? You're upset at the world and you're like pissed off and you're saying, no, I'm going to do it different. All you're doing is creating more of that energy of war, of conflict, of grief. And you're building a bigger wall that you go out and bring out to other people in defense. And you can make this a real good, mighty battle if you want to. But I hope that those of you who are listening are really here and that you can sit with it in a deeper way, being with yourself in more and more honesty with this practice, right? And as you do this practice, you can become more aware of yourself. So you coming to it in an open, honest way and you becoming more aware of yourself, of course, is a part of this practice. So I'm going to give you an example of in my world. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is you can do this and create quality that you want to manifest in the world, or you can just start with a feeling inside of yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe and be with that a moment. And this feeling is one of compassion, ease, care. And I'm sitting and I'm inhabiting that right here within myself. Okay, this is what I want to experience. And so I start with a simple technique of me showing up in the world. Now, it may be going to the grocery store. It may be a daily activity. If you are focused on business or you're in a real big business world, if you're in a creative world, if you're in a spiritual world, you can go and use this technique in all of these worlds. In a relationship world, I'll give you an example of that. But first, I'm just going to give an example of just every day, me imagining I'm going out into the world, right? Okay. So in my world, in the morning, I arise and I wake up and I follow this prompting. It's just like, I want to go out and feel and smell the fresh air. The fresh air, it's calling to me and I feel it and it's just drawing me out. So I get out and I start walking. And as I'm walking, there is a other couple that pass by me on the way, and they're having a real discussion about something. And it's so interesting because I hear what they're talking about, and it's about a um, conflict between two of their children. And it's so sweet because I hear the father listening, the dad, and he's asking, and he asks the question, well, how do you see it? Do you think we need to really do anything about this? And she considers, and they walk and they hold hands, right? They're holding hands, and they walk past by me, and I continue to her express that I don't know if we need to do anything. I'm feeling concerned within myself. These are the feelings that I'm feeling, right? And so I pass along and I breathe the air, and it just smells wonderful. And I pass along this very specific tree that I love to pass, and it just kind of calls to me. And I stand there. I feel the presence of this tree. It's the color, it's purple. The bark is purple and the leaves are showing up purple. And I feel like I can actually even taste the tree itself, right? I feel like I can taste the tree itself. And it becomes conscious that I am conscious of it. And it's as if we both kind of bow to each other in gratitude. And it's like it honors that I could share consciousness with it. And I don't know what it is that it shares with me. I don't have the words yet for it, but I am just grateful. And I hold that in my heart in some beautiful way. And I breathe, and it fills me up, and I continue walking down the street. And as I continue walking, I see ahead of me, there's this dog that's gotten loose and kind of running down the street. And I see this boy running after it, and with the collar, and I'm watching this unique kind of race or chase happen. And this dog just wants to play. And it goes around, it runs around the car, it goes underneath, and the boy's calling and calling. And after a little bit of time, the boy just breaks down and starts laughing. And he just gives up. He's just like, oh my gosh. He leans against the fence, and he just starts laughing, and the dog comes up and just starts licking his face. And the boy's like, okay, yeah, you wanted to play, but I've got to get to school, okay? So, like, buddy, I'll come play with you after school, okay? So the dog just is giving him loving, and he gets the collar, the leash on him, and they start heading back home. And I just think of how funny it is. Like, oh my gosh, this is so funny to see that interaction with what happened there. And then I just continue walking down the street, and I'm starting to feel thirsty. And as I feel thirst, I start to feel the air, and I can feel the moisture in the air. And as I really put my attention on this moisture in the air, somehow, for some reason, I feel kind of satiated. Like there's this satiation that occurs within me surrounding the moisture in the air. And I feel like it actually just kind of gave itself to me in my body to experience. And as I take that in, I feel the sweat come out of my pores, and it feels like almost, wow, that was the exchange. The moisture coming in and then being expelled. And then I start heading back home. And as I'm heading back home, I see a lady carrying in some groceries, and she has a little baby that's in a car seat, and she has to go back and forth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this well. I can understand this. And I come up to the lady and say, hey, I live right down the street. Hey, can I just help you with these groceries? I know what it's like to have a little baby. And she's like, yeah, cool, thanks. I'd love that. And so I help bring those groceries in for her, and I compliment her on her decor because it's lovely. I can see she's just really loving being a mother, and she's, talking about how she gets to go back to work soon. And, I compliment her and like tell her, I hope that everything works out well for you. And, come say hi to me down the street if you need anything. Like if you need to go out on a date with your husband, and, you need a babysitter or something, oftentimes I'm around. So I'd love to help out in any way I can. So I then just say bye, and it's like I've made a new friend. And I walk back down the street and I make it home, and I'm just like, wow, it's time for a shower. I feel really good and refreshed. That is an example of playing out something in my world. In this scenario, one thing you can notice when you come up against, you can throw kind of these situations or how you interact with other people around, right? And you can come across these and see what experience you would be having while you're watching this. So my interaction in seeing maybe the couple, if I'm not in this world of where I'm feeling compassion, care, and coming from it in that direction, maybe I'm just noticing my focus is on, oh, there's some conflict in the family. And I'm feeling the conflict more than actually the connection and care. When I come across the boy and the dog, what am I feeling? I'm sensing the frustration, but I'm also sensing the connection and care, the care between the dog, the care between the boy, and the situation that was navigated. When I become thirsty and I have a physical need, then what I'm focused on is actually how this earth can supply, and that what we need is often just right there, present. When I initiated and when I saw this lady who was carrying in the groceries, I related to it, and I saw that there was an easy way that I could step in. Does that mean that I became puffed up and now I'm the service person? No, because I am living in the space of caring. I just got to play a role and a piece of that puzzle to fill it in. Now, you can do this in so many ways. I will give you further examples, but I think this video is long enough for right now. Remember, inside, outside, or I, what you want to bring and how it manifests as you come up to situation, right? So just remember that and surprise yourself. Who knows what will appear when you sit with this new world that you want to create. Namaste and best to you all.